Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is a warm welcome to everyone to Football Heritage TV and a big welcome to Kuva 99 and Ben Kaufman. I missed you guys last week when I was spluttering and coughing everywhere and feeling like I was dying. But we're back and lovely to see your faces. How are you?
All good. It's really nice to get the band back together. The Only Way is XG. Your favourite football sitcom is in the house of the progression between young bearded guy to slightly older bearded guy to even older bearded guy. We're here. We're your favourite bearded guys. We're here to have a laugh, talk about football, and talk some utter rubbish as well while you're at it. It's wonderful. The cough is here. And
Kuva, all I heard was Ben giving himself a pat on the back for being young. That's what I heard then. I don't know about you.
Oh, he's got a youthful beard gang to him. It's okay. It'll pass. It'll pass.
Yeah. When he stops looking all hip and retro, he'll just look like the rest of us. Like you just
no,
woken
I'll
up.
look worse. I'll just be a bald bearded guy then.
Guys, welcome back. Listen, what I've decided we're going to do is every week we're going to call the show The Only Way Is and something at the end. So today we're calling it The Only Way Is Dr. Tottenham. And what I love is so many fans get really rattled, I believe is the term, by terms like Spursy and Dr. Tottenham. But guys, as much as we shouldn't laugh at our own club, it's never going away, is it? I mean, Ben, Crystal Palace. Let's start with Crystal Palace, right?
Yeah.
It's not that Crystal Palace beat us. We've all seen Crystal Palace beat Spurs before. We've all seen Spurs lose away games. But it was the Crystal Palace have not won a league game in 8. Crystal Palace are awful. Crystal Palace can't score goals. Glasner might be getting the chop. Spurs are in good form. Along comes Dr. Tottenham, and we knew the script. What do you make of Dr. Tottenham and what happened on Sunday, Ben?
It's the world's greatest sitcom. It's so funny. It's I liken it to my favourite football film. I watched that with my partner and her family at the weekend because they'd never seen the film. It's exactly like that. You know exactly what joke is about to come next. And it's still funny. That is what you just know it. You know Mateta, a big striker's going to score. You know that we're going to get beaten in midfield. You know we can't play away. It was such comedy. It's like they should video that game and put it on as a sitcom every because it's funny.
With Benny Hill music, like as they're all running around trying to play it out from the back.
The damning thing about the weekend is I was more annoyed about the Formula One than I was about Tottenham. That's how damning that game. I knew Tottenham was going to do something stupid. It was about time we threw a clanger somewhere.
Yeah.
It was just funny.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because this is why, do you know what? These sort of games used to ruin my weekend, Ben. Like, I used to be that fan that would be like, oh my God, Spurs lost and this is terrible. I'm at the stage now where I know other people are dreaming and hyping up Ange Ball and this is different and we're going to win things. I don't see any difference at all. Kuva, I'll come to you. I don't see any difference at all anymore. This is Tottenham. We win a couple of easy games. We then lose a game. We're crap away. And I've kind of settled within my... No, that's not the right term at all. Settled within my skin. That sounds like something a serial killer would say.
Hashtag serial killer Savva.
Hashtag the
serial killer Savva.
Hashtag the skin settler. I've kind of settled. I'm at ease, Kuva, with the fact that this is what Tottenham are, and I don't think anything's changed. What do you say, Kuva? You've normally got a nice outlook on life and Tottenham Hotspur.
Have I? I remember talking pre-game, and some people are talking about having a build-up show and things like that. And somebody said about Palace haven't won all season. They're not scoring the goals they should be, and I thought, I actually said, time for Dr. Tottenham, isn't it? And I just said it automatically, and then I suddenly thought, oh my God, it's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
We expect this sort of thing every now and then, don't we? Yeah, I'm the same as you in a lot of
More
ways.
now than then, though. More now than then.
It's been part of this club for decades, hasn't it? I think we've built this culture now of it just doesn't matter, and it's spread to the fans as well now. There's an acceptance. It's a grudging acceptance of this is what we do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Want better, want to see things matter. I want to see. We've talked before about these watching the early 90s when you had that rivalry between Arsenal and Man United, and you'd have the players having almost a pitch fight on the pitch, big brawl, and you looked at it and thought, I wish our club was in that sort of position where it matters that much. You're fighting the opposition, because everything's on the line. We just never
where you have
there.
a nail biting week all week, Kuva, because you can't wait as a fan to get to the game because the outcome of it is going to have such a huge say. We do
have nail biting weeks. I remember during the transfer window, I thought, are we going to re-sign Timo Werner?
Is that why I've got nails on my hands? It's why I don't show my hands on camera.
I haven't got any arms.
You've got no fingers left, Savva. You ate your fingers.
Just bit them down to stubs. But it's like you were saying, Ben. It was that inevitability of Benny Hill defending, like Spurs trying to play out the back whilst 3 or 4 Palace players are pressing us, and you're like, oh God, you know what's going to happen. It was the number of players that went down injured like they'd been shot all of the first half. It was the little scraps on the pitch that were kind of fake little scraps. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Then more than anything, guys, our beloved leader, and I'm not talking about Levy this time, our beloved leader coming out with more things at the end of the game where you sit and go, what? Like, I don't know if you guys heard this, and Kuva, obviously you messaged yesterday about, I won't say everything what happens in our WhatsApp group, but you messaged yesterday saying about certain things that the managers said pre and post game. And then after the game against Palace, he's talking about, oh yeah, I'm sitting and watching it, and I'm watching the game get away from us, and I'm watching them win every first ball. And Stell made a really good point where he kind of said, well, hang on, your job isn't to sit there and watch that. Your job is to sit there, acknowledge what's happening, and act and change it and get the grip back and win the first ball. Is there inevitability about it, guys? And are we now getting to the point where the manager is just kind of like joining in with that inevitability?
Go on, Ben.
Go on, Ben.
It's incredibly difficult to say. I don't believe a single word this manager says. It's at that point now. Kuva and I are touting it. I don't listen to a single press conference. I don't watch the after-match thing. The moment that game, I only watch Tottenham from minute 1 to minute whatever. The moment the game is finished, I turn off all Tottenham because I just don't believe a word he says.
Yeah.
1 minute subs don't matter, and then next minute they do matter, and then I'm not going to make the subs, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's so flip floppy.
Yeah,
it's like Javianas at Gatwick Airport. It is all these flipping and flopping. And the manager is doing what fans do, and fans have a right to do that because they're not earning the money.
Yeah, we're not paid $5 million.
He's earning that money to fix these things, and he just blatantly refuses to do them because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to win a game of football if he doesn't deserve it. I'm sorry, man.
Can we just quickly pick up on that theme? I think that's brilliant, right? And I'm not going to mention the name of this person, but it's somebody I don't normally agree with, right? But I saw them put this post out, and it was hilarious. It was like, oh, I guess Ange made those poor substitutions because this was one of those games where we didn't deserve any rewards. And I found it quite funny because against Leicester, it was against Brighton, it was we didn't want undeserved points, which is mind blowing. That's like me saying I've had a row with my missus. Oh, I don't deserve any sex tonight. No, don't give me any. I don't deserve any. I've been, I didn't put the rubbish out or blah, blah, blah. Bollocks. I want it, right? Sorry, wife. But, you know, at the end of the day,
hashtag serial killer Savva.
then against West Ham, it was everyone praising Ange because, oh my God, he took off Sarr for Maddison, which I don't care. I think we were going to win that West Ham game anyway. But then against Crystal Palace, we're back to, oh, well, you know, they were better than us. They didn't do this. We didn't make the right moves. I don't understand the manager, Kuva. I don't get him. And I keep hearing, right, I find it funny at this stage. I'm not even angry. I keep hearing that Ange is trying to change a culture at Spurs. And we've been losers for so long that this winner's coming in. I think he is breeding more loser mentality than he is winning mentality. What says you, Kuva?
It's a kind of magnification of everything that's been going on, isn't it? When we're bad now, we are truly embarrassingly bad. And when we're good, we can actually look quite decent at times. There's no doubt about it. If we play a team that is poorly set up or in poor form or not really themselves, like a Man United or a West Ham, they're prime for us because we can pull those sort of teams apart. But anybody shows a bit of resilience against us, and it's gone. Yeah. We're all over the place. Yeah. I think what changed things with me with Ange mostly was that Brighton second half. After hearing the reason why we didn't bring on subs, and I just thought, wow.
Did he lose you at that moment, Kuva? Did he lose you as
absolutely
not as an ambassador, but as a because I've made it very clear for probably about a year that I don't rate this manager. Right, I'm not sitting here screaming Ange out. I know that's what everyone thinks I'm saying every time I open my mouth. But you've been a bit more okay. Let's try and get on this Ange train. But when that second half happened, did that lose your?
It's what he said at the end of it. It's his justification for not making substitutions. And Ben's already touched on it. You're getting paid to change games when they're going badly. Ben, you made the mistake of saying Ange was earning his money. I don't agree with that. I don't think he's earning anything. He's taking it. But when you've got 5 substitutions available and your whole team's not firing in the second half and you're watching goals go in, you've lost control. Right. You could change the entire midfield if you wanted to. You could do something drastic to shake things up, and he just didn't. And then his excuses after of like, we didn't deserve to win it, so what's the point? That was astonishing. So like Ben, we had the conversation about it and decided I'm just not going to listen to anything he says anymore. It's just words. It's like the old Charlie Brown cartoon when you hear somebody on the phone and it's wow 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 in the background.
Or Dastardly and Matley when the general
Exactly.
It's so true. Do you know what? When I used to be one of these that, first of all, I would always watch Match of the Day, even if I'd seen the games. I would watch Sky Sports News, and I want to see what has Pop said, what has Hoddle said, whoever the manager is. When I see Ange come onto the screen, I feel complete detachment from this manager. Like, I truly do. I don't look at him and go, oh, this is our manager. I look at this and go, oh, God, he's talking again. And people say that's bad. And listen, let's be fair. You know the shit I get, guys. People might say it's bad. You're not a true fan. I don't have any I don't identify with this manager at all. I don't believe in his tactics. I don't like his press conferences. I see him after the game the other day. When we lose games, he's so rude and arrogant to the reporters. It's almost like this, what, you're daring to question me type thing. Do you know what I mean? And for me, mate, you ain't Pep. We're going to talk about Pep later. You ain't Pep Guardiola. People are asking you questions because you're not playing well. People are asking you questions because everyone's starting to see a little bit more now that this feel-good factor isn't quite as good as everyone thought. And guys, what I want to talk about is, I did a show yesterday. I wouldn't expect either of you to have seen it in the morning. I did a video by myself where I talked about a lot of the stats. And again, really, really concerning stat, built up over a year. And people keep going, oh, you're cherry picking. First of all, I don't know how I can cherry pick a year's worth of stats. I really can't. It doesn't work. But this stat, right, is since March. This worried the life out of me. Are you ready, guys? This is the end of March. Yeah. That right there, for anyone that tells me this is a rebuild, this is a process, this is a project, he's got rid of Deadwood, we're changing. Guys, 5 of those defeats came from 7 games at the end of last season. And I was told, but that was last year. This year's going to be different. He's carried this on, guys, to another 4 defeats in 9 games this season. And guys, this isn't, sorry, I'm venting a little bit. This isn't a new 11. We haven't made 3 or 4 signings in the summer that have all gone into the first team and changed the way we play, and they need time to settle. This is the same group of players.
Solanke.
With Dominic Solanke, who everyone was making videos about, telling us that this is the guy. This is the perfect Ange player. This is why he will work. So this form has carried on, gentlemen. Aren't we getting to a stage now where this is the norm? This isn't bad form anymore. This is what we are. 9 in 16. I would expect that from Wolves. I would expect that from Ipswich getting promoted.
Funny you say Wolves, but the form this season. Where did we get Nuno from? That was Wolves, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The form we're on this season, if we fail to win our next game, then the opening 10 games are worse than the stint when Nuno had in charge. That says something, and he was sacked for it.
Yeah. And remember, Nuno won 5 and lost 5. So he was an average manager. He's lost more games he's lost more than half his games in these last 16 games. It's 16 defeats in 36 from what I remember. 16 defeats that is unacceptable for a top club.
We talk about this.
Yes.
There we go. Right. So let me remove that banner. This is what we're talking about, right? It was almost as though you guys knew I had this. Kuva, to your point, even if Ange wins on Sunday v Villa, and we could beat Villa, we can. They're a really good team, but we can win at home. At home, we're decent. Even if we win that, by my reckoning, that will make us 1 point better off. Please quickly tell me if my maths is rubbish there.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll be 1 point better off than what we were under Nuno when everyone was pitchforks out. Nuno's got to go. This is crap. The difference was that was Nuno's first 10 games as Spurs manager. This is Ange's second season.
Yeah.
Nuno even managed to beat Man City, didn't they?
Yeah.
Nuno beat Man City. Nuno was getting clean sheets.
Yeah.
How many clean sheets?
And also, Nuno's showing how good a coach he is for Nottingham Forest now. Look how well he's doing at Nottingham Forest. But
won't get carried away though either, because we did have some horrendous results then as well. So I'm thinking the 3-0 to Palace.
Whose team was better? I know Nuno had a Kane that didn't want to be there, but whose team is better? Ange's team by a mile. Nuno's team.
This team by a mile. Listen, by the way, this isn't revisionism. This isn't me going, God, we shouldn't have got rid of Nuno. No, this is me going, hang on. If you're judging that manager over there after 10 games, this manager's had what? I don't know, 55 games as manager? I don't know.
Like
55, 56, something like that. And this form, gents, is crap. This form is horrific. And I keep hearing, we went on this game, 6 wins in 7. Yeah, but 4 of those 6 wins were Karabag, Ferencvaros, Coventry, AZ Alkmaar, who we needed a penalty to beat, Brentford, who had 7 first-team injuries, right? Man United, who are so bad they've just sacked their manager, right? So I'm asking the question to you guys. All the people that say he needs time, I'm not saying sack him, but he needs time. Give him a few years at least. Can he review actually see us getting to a nice, steady position where we're not losing silly games and losing a huge number of games?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's confidence, isn't it? Right there from everybody. That's
impossible.
nice.
I'll have a counter question.
Oh.
In context, because we're using context.
Yeah.
Who was a better manager? Eric Ten Hag, who's just been sacked, or Ange Postecoglou?
Ten Hag for me.
Obvious.
Ajax have been my second team for a long time, so I know very much what he's capable of. And you just have to think back to our fantastic Champions League run when we came up against them. That Ajax team should have won that championship. They should have won that Champions League. They were absolutely fantastic team. Under the right conditions, he's the right manager. But there's something wrong with Man United as well at the moment, isn't there? They're kind of rotten in the same way.
I'm putting this question to a lot of people, and everyone says, "Oh, it's obviously Ange, isn't it?" Under what metric?
Yeah, right. Well,
under what?
That's what I was going to say.
They finished seventh last year. They finished seventh last year, so 2 positions under us. But they won a trophy, so of course they had a better season.
Also, Ten Hag is fantastic at working with youngsters. What do we have at the moment?
I think the difficult thing here is, again, is Ten Hag going to be based on his Man United tenure or his football career? Even if, though, we want to base him purely on the last couple of years as Man United manager, if we're going to go by metrics, like Ben's just suggested, Ten Hag has won an FA Cup and a League Cup. He got Man United into the top 4. Listen, by the way, I'm not sitting here advocating that I want Eric Ten Hag.
Oh, no one wants Ten Hag. It's boring as hell. But
this is the interesting thing. If I show you this, guys, if I show you this Premier League table, right? And hopefully I've got both Spurs and Man U in it. Yeah, I have, right?
Yeah.
Here's the difference, right, between our two clubs. We've got Tottenham fans that are talking about again, so I'm not going to keep saying process, project, all of this kind of stuff, rebuild, blah, blah, blah. What we're doing is brilliant. He's putting in a winning mentality. The football we play is excellent. Man United fans couldn't get rid of Ten Hag quick enough. They couldn't get rid of him quick enough. We are 2 points above what has been I believe, if I'm not wrong, one of you might tell me I'm wrong here. I believe this is Man United's worst start to a Premier League season ever. I'm pretty sure I saw that, right? So Man United's worst start to a Premier League season ever, where they have acted and gone, right, we can still save our season. Let's sack our manager. They're 2 points behind our manager. They've lost the same number of games as our manager, right? They've lost less than us in the last 6 games. We've got a section of our fan base praising it, and Ange is brilliant, and Ange is great. Their fans have gone, no, get this clown out of our football club. Let's go and get Amorim, who we'll talk about that later. Doesn't that show, guys, the difference between mentalities in the football clubs, where there's not actually a lot of difference right now? All right, we play some prettier football than they do, but look, the league is showing we're 2 points better off. They've acted. We've got people praising. Doesn't that show, guys, the difference between our fans and their fans?
Yeah, absolutely does. It's Man United could still get top 4 this year. It's still quite early on in the season. Man United, if they get if Amorim comes in, for example, that's the guy I think they want.
Yeah,
and they have a new manager bounce, and they go 6 unbeaten, and they win. Let's say they win 4 games and draw 2. That puts them in a really good spot to try and finish in the top 4.
Yep.
That really puts them in a good position to get that top 4. And that's all Ratcliffe is going to want this year. So as an aim, go into January, spend a load of money on players that Amorim wants to build his 3-4-3 system or 3-5, or whatever he does with his wing backs, because he loves his wing backs. And I think they've already got some decent players to play that. Or they got his captain at Sporting Lisbon, from what I remember. I think Amorim was there when Bruno. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's got.
Didn't he have Ugarte as well? Didn't he have
Ugarte as well?
And there was one other. But you're right. They've already got kind of wing backs in place with the likes of Mazraoui, Shaw or Dalot. They've got Lenny Yoro to come back in centre mid. Agate and Manu as a two. Mate, I'll ask this question to both of you right now. If Man United hire in Ruben Amorim, and it looks like it's going to happen, because in football terms, I think it's an 8 million.
Yeah.
Which to us, 8 million sets us up for life. To them, 8 million is let's go and get that out of the safe. Right?
Biggest football club in the world, billions of pounds of revenue.
Right.
Click, bang, get him in.
Who finishes higher out of Tottenham and Man United this season? If Man United hire in Ruben Amorim, I'm guessing he won't be in for the next game. Well, there's still actually quite a lot of the week to go, but I'm guessing he won't be in for the next game. Who finishes higher, Kuva? Is it going to be Tottenham or Man United with Ruben Amorim?
Honestly, I can't tell you, because you've got to work out what the real problem at United is. Is it a deeper problem than just the manager being able to out of control?
Sure.
On paper, I think they would do it, though. I think they've got the players for a manager like that to really start putting a few wins together.
Yeah.
You'd perhaps even tip them for sneaking into the top four. They've got the resources. They could go out in January, spend some big money on some players if they need it. He's got kind of what is it, a zest to the sort of the way he approaches football, doesn't he? I think they would take to him. I think the fans would take to him, and I think the players would quite like this sort of more direct approach to the game. More structured. It didn't look like they were buying into what Ten Hag was trying to do. So,
and all the reports,
you always get this with football clubs, though, don't you? Sometimes a manager is just not a fit for a certain club. Yeah, we've seen it time and time again, especially at ours.
Well, all the reports, Kuva, say that apparently, I'm not going to pretend to know this, but apparently Amorim is very good with the players as well. Apparently he's very hands-on, arm around them. And Ten Hag, you could see from, I don't know if you guys saw Sky Sports News yesterday.
He's got no charisma.
No. They showed a clip from when Ten Hag was walking into the Man United training ground for the first time years ago. And the chief Sky Sports reporter was asking him, and he was just deadpan. There was no smart. Do you know what I mean? There was no kind of life. There was, and apparently Ruben Amorim is completely different. But also, it could do wonders for Man United in the Europa League, because Man United at the moment have played 3, drawn 3. But listen, because 8 go up automatically, and then the next 16 go into a knockout phase. Yeah. Listen, you've got to be pretty dreadful to actually get knocked out, right? It's actually more difficult to not go through than it is to go through. So they could really change. But for me, to go back to the original point, it just shows the levels that they're looking at that league table and going, this is completely unacceptable. We've got fans going, you know what? It's all right. Things are changing. We're getting better. And this is our worst start. And do you know how you know I'm not lying, guys? Because I've written it down here, so it must be true. It's our worst start in 17 years. I don't know what we are. I don't know what the aim is. I don't know what we are. And at least Man United are trying. At least they're trying.
I think at the start, right at the start of this season, although we drew with Leicester and things, and we lost that to the Newcastle side, but there were elements to the game you could say they are improving. The pressing looked better. That we were conceding less of those wide open chances we were, and at that point you could say perhaps we are sort of turning a corner here, and it is coming together. The thing is, the results didn't. They didn't reflect that. And then you see that even when we are playing well, it tends to be against teams that are in some sort of almost atrophy when it comes to Man United. It's just not working. West Ham were dreadful. So it gives you that little illusion that things are sort of picking up again. But then, like I said, when we meet anybody with a bit of resilience about them, a little bit of power and aggression like Palace had, we fold against that. When Brighton just do a simple tweak in how they're playing, drop a little bit deeper and deny us space in the midfield, we couldn't play anymore. So it's not really changed that much, has it? We've still got problems we had last season. They're not quite as intense as they are last season, but the results aren't changing.
Kuva, I'm going to go on
the same.
I don't think it's changed at all. I know. Like, what keeps getting thrown at me, people like me, is, but the underlying stats. Listen, we can talk about underlying stats all day long. The league table, just to remind people, look, let's show you again, right? The league table. If we look at the top 10, right? If we look at the top 10 of this league table, it is utterly embarrassing that if you look at that lost column, Tottenham Hotspur have 4 defeats. The closest to that in the top, all the teams above us, is Chelsea with 2. That everyone else, look at that. Forest 1 defeat, Brighton 1 defeat, Villa 1, Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1, City none. And we keep talking about ourselves in the same breath as these clubs. We're going to challenge. We're going to do this. 4 teams have played Tottenham Hotspur in 9 games and come away with victories.
Yeah.
4.
What sort of compounds that as well is you look at Forest there. You wouldn't expect Forest to be up that high. They are worth their place there as well. Very hard to beat this season.
Yep. Yeah.
I think Jose Mourinho said it. I think he said no team is doing anything if they lose more than 5-6 games, and we've already lost 4.
Mate, I bet you Man City and Liverpool don't lose 4 games all season. I bet, like, if you actually look at the number of games lost between that top 7, what's that? 1, 2, 4, 5. The top 7 between them have lost 7 games of football this season. Right? Yeah. 7 between 7 clubs. Spurs have already lost 4. But yet I'm led to believe we're not as bad defensively. Well, what the absolute shambles I watched against Brighton, the absolute shambles I watched against Palace. And let's be honest, Kuva, I'll come to you here. We lost 1-0 to Palace. In that second half, Palace should have put us to the sword. Palace had multiple chances to bury that game. And for me, some of these underlying stats, we're not conceding as many. I don't know how, because teams are having chances against us galore.
I've got to admit, in the Palace game, I turned off after 55 minutes because it just we could see we were done at that point. Could see we could have played for another 2 weeks. We weren't going to score against them.
Dreadful.
Yeah, I'd better things to do then. Make some food. It's more enjoyable.
I better things to do. I was hungry.
Yeah, it's going back to what I was doing the season before last when Conte was there towards the end.
Turn off you Spurs.
Turn off you Spurs. Yeah, I coined that phrase, and I feel the same way now. It's just I look at Spurs games now. It's like, meh, do I want to watch it or not? If it's against anybody with any clout to them, it's pointless. You're not going to win.
Well, do you know what? I mean, Ben, that's interesting because do you know what? As somebody that does the watch-alongs, right? I'm sitting there, and at no point in the last 20 minutes, and then the 7 minutes injury time, at no point as a fan did I think, you know what? We're going to rescue this. We're 1-0 down to Palace, by the way. We're not 3-0 down at the Etihad. We're 1-0 down at Crystal Palace, who've not won a game. And I'm thinking to myself, and again, sorry for the cliches, kitchen sink.
Yeah.
He's put on, first of all, let's talk about this in general now. His substitutions, taking off both Maddison and Kulusevski to go to more of a 4-4-2, right? Yeah. First of all, that's sackable for me. However, that's fine if you then say to your wide men, Johnson and Werner, right, all I want you to do when you get it, whip balls into the box to Solanke and Richarlison. Whip it in, make it a battle. Guys, we went to this 4-4-2, took off our 2 creative midfielders, and then still kept pass, like we were Man City. Like we think we're Man City, passing it around the midfield with Papa Sarr and whoever was in midfield at the time with him, Basuma. No one's shooting, no one's crossing. There was no onslaught of corners, onslaught of balls into the box. Let's throw on Dragushin and stick him up front and knock. Nothing, Ben. Nothing about that game made me think, we're coming back into this. Is that more worrying than the fact that we lost?
It's who we are, mate. It's who we are.
It's who we are.
When you have Richarlison and Solanke, there's one thing you don't do, is put in low balls. Both of them, Richarlison, I think 70% of his goals are with his head. He's very prolific in the air. He's prolific in the air. He's an old schoolish number 9. Likes a bit of a rough and tumble. Likes a bit of a fight with the centre back. Stick the ball in the air, in between goalkeeper and centre back, where defenders don't like it. Put the ball in there, high in the box. Battle for it. Solanke's better with his feet and he's more aggressive and he's a bit more creative with his feet. But he's another one. I think it's like 50-60% of his goals are with his head. He likes that battle in the air. He's a strong boy. Whip those balls in. But we consist with passing the ball in low and quickly. And it just makes it pinball. And we're not good at pinball. It's why we really shouldn't have let Perisic go. Perisic would love playing with Solanke and Richarlison. He would, because it just a bit of a step over, left-footed cross in the box, go for it, sunshine. That's why when Richarlison was at his most prolific for Spurs is when Perisic was there, because he was whipping balls into him.
He's the polar opposite of Timo Werner, isn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't he? Didn't have the pace anymore, but he's got the ability and pinpoint crossing.
Yeah,
Werner, all the pace in the world, can't play football.
In that box.
Or dare I say it, we could have actually gone out and bought somebody that does that instead of, no offence, instead of spending 60 million on Odegaard and Gray.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not having a pop at those two, but instead of buying kids that aren't going to be in the first 11, you could have gone to Brighton and said, I'm just using this as an example, like, we want Matoma for 60 million. You know what I mean? You could have. I watched the Chelsea game at the weekend, saw the highlights. I was watching Spurs on my app, but I had the Chelsea Newcastle game on. Every time Neto got the ball, he skinned his fullback. Like every time he skinned his fullback, and you go, "Oh, I want one of them." It
was a comedy offer why we didn't get him. I'll give you another one. Not a flashy player, but it's doing very well at Nottingham Forest right now, and a lot of us got pelters for suggesting he might be able to do a job for us. James Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
Midfield,
ID technical footballer,
gets his foot on the ball, likes a bit of a fight, get the ball, whip it in the box.
Yeah,
pinpoint crossing, great from corners, great from set pieces. It's what you need with players like Richarlison and Dragoshin and Solanke. Put those balls on their heads and they will score goals. And West Ham are finding out they get rid of James Ward-Prowse. He's gone to Nottingham Forest. Look where Nottingham Forest are, and look where West Ham are.
But this is the crazy thing, isn't it, Kuva? Like, when he made that double substitution, I feel like everybody in my chat, everybody in WhatsApp was sending me, it was like this kind of head scratcher of Kulu and Maddison. Like, straight away then, I don't know about you, but I just sat there and thought, sorry, where's this creativity? Who's creating? Oh, you got Johnson, who is, for me, listen, Johnson does what he does. When he's through on goal, he scores some goals. When he's not, he might as well be sitting on your sofa with you, Kuva. Let's be fair, right? Timo Werner, enough said about Timo Werner. But so you've then taken off Maddison and Kulu. You've got those two as wingers who don't create. And you've got Richarlison and Solanke who aren't strikers that create for themselves. What was the thinking behind those substitutions?
It's funny, isn't it? I told you I turned off after 55 minutes because I didn't see the point. Wasn't going to waste my time anymore. So I didn't even see the substitutions. But isn't it funny how I can listen to you just say what happened and I can picture exactly what that would have looked like?
Yeah.
Because you hit the nail on the head. If you're going to take off creative players like that, you've got to have some wingers in there.
Yeah.
You've got to have somebody that provides chances. If you're not going to do it through the middle, it's got to be out wide. Simple as that. So what is that process of thought? I think it's at that point, it's just to try and win a midfield battle somehow and hope magical things happen. I don't get it. We've seen this in other games though as well. Baffling decisions.
Baffling.
To be fair, we have seen that from the likes of Conte as well. But
sure.
This seems to be more consistent sort of baffling now.
I agree.
I really don't get this, but it comes back to why do you want to back a manager, or why do you want to back a team if you don't believe in them?
I completely agree.
And I'm feeling that with Ange. I don't get it. I just don't see it. So
do you know the funny thing, Kuva? Right? It was. I specifically remember, and if anyone goes back and watches my watch along, you'll see me almost like I wasn't angry. I was just like frustrated. I was so pent up. There was like 2 minutes to go. Literally, I remember going into the 96th minute now. There's 2 minutes left. And I'm thinking, launch it. Vicario, launch it. No, I'll play the ball out to Romero. Romero, launch it. No, I'll play it into Sarr. Sarr's going to go. You're thinking, come on, guys. This is the basics of football. You're losing a game. You've got two strikers up there. Do something, anything. Nope. People want to steal that 5-yard passing to nobody. And it was at that moment where I thought to myself, this is never going to work.
Even the likes of prime Barcelona at times, if they were losing a game, which wasn't often to be fair, but you'd even then see them put the likes of Puyol forward.
Yeah,
try and get something.
PK did it all the time.
Different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mate, I just don't get it. Like, either keep Maddison on the pitch, right? Or Cook. Either keep one of them on the pitch and keep trying to play and weave your pretty patterns. Or whip balls into your two centre forwards who are now on the pitch. Like, you can't have it both ways. And look, I don't know, guys. I'm just a bit look, I think we'll win. Let's talk about the next two. We've got Manchester City tomorrow night. And I always smile when I say that, just because it's sort of like I'm seeing videos going out there of people saying, you know what, I think we could bully Man City, and then I'm watching us lose to Palace, and you're thinking, I'm not sure what's brought that on, but you've got Man City at home, followed by Villa at home, one in the cup, one in the league. Ben, we slightly talked about this before Kuva joined us earlier. Is tomorrow night's game very much about what we do, or is this going to be very much based on what 11 does Pep Guardiola put out? Because he's made some very interesting comments, and we don't know if they're mind games, but he's talked about putting out a kind of B team, a youth team. But is the B team and youth team of Man City bad? Like, are they what do you make of this tomorrow night?
This is our one chance of winning a trophy, I think, this season. This is our one chance, because if we get past Man City, it's anyone's ball game. A lot of good teams are going to get knocked out because a lot of teams are playing each other. Get a bit of confidence, win tomorrow, get a bit of a feather in your cap, and go for the Carabao Cup. Just win a trophy, go for a trophy, see what we can do. I think Pep Guardiola doesn't want to lose to Tottenham. I think there's one game now I think he doesn't want to lose all season, and I think that's Tottenham away from home. I think he really wants to put to sword that stigma if we go to Tottenham and lose. If he can, he wants to win this game. I think he'll say he wants to play a B team, but I think he'll play some top players. I think he'll play top players tomorrow. And even so, their youth players are not half bad. Players like Oscar Bob he's not a bad player, Oscar Bob. He's got players like Grealish he could play instead of maybe Doku. He could play this player. He can play this Foden in midfield instead of Kevin De Bruyne. He can mesh it up a bit, and they can adapt their way of football for the players they've got on the pitch, because that's what you've got to do. You've got this amount. You've got this workforce. This is what we play to get the best out of this workforce.
Yeah.
I think.
By the way,
we're going to lose tomorrow.
By the way, breaking news is that Ruben Amorim has just agreed. Sorry, I sound like Jeff Stelling. Ruben Amorim has agreed to become Man United manager. He's now coming over all the different media outlets at the moment. So looks like he will be in for the weekend's game. I think they're playing tomorrow night as well. So I don't know if he'll be ready for that one.
Tomorrow night, but he won't. He'll be the manager this weekend.
Just for a bit of Schadenfreude, isn't it? I just hope he's made the worst decision of his career now. Hopefully,
but he'll be the first Man United manager that doesn't have Ferguson staring down his neck. He'll be the first time a manager has been the manager of Man United, and he's legitimately the manager. Whatever happened, whatever manager was there, Ferguson was looking at their behind and chewing his chewing gum and having words with the. This will be the first time a manager is manager of Man United, and they're the boss.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I can't confirm, by the way, that it's 100%, but I'm starting, you know, when you start to get all the messages, it's all sort of about. But guys, the interesting thing, Kuva, Tottenham, Man City, and we'll talk about Amorim and Pep, whatever, in a bit. I was looking at this yesterday. When people keep saying that Pep's going to play a B team, first of all, Kuva, I'm not sure if you're aware, I'm not sure if you ever bothered to look at it or cared. Man City don't actually have a massive squad to begin with. No. Man City, everyone assumes that they've got like 25 top footballers. They don't. They've actually got a very small squad with some young players around it. And when I looked at them at the weekend, right, first of all, Pep had 7 players on the bench, Kuva, instead of 9. Right, 7. Of that 7, he had young Nico O'Reilly, who's a very good player, and James McAtee, right? And then the only 5 senior players he had was Ake, Scott Carson, right? Gundogan, Ortega, so 2 goalkeepers, and John Stones. And at the moment, Man City have got Oscar Bob, De Bruyne, Doku, Grealish, Rodri, and Walker all out injured. Now, I mean, imagine if we ever had those 6 players out injured. I don't think he can actually go to. I don't think he's got a lot of options tomorrow, Kuva, than to play the kind of 11 that he's got at the moment. I don't see. You might see James McAtee come into the team or O'Reilly. I don't think he's got the players to rotate at the moment. So I think this could be one massive moot point as to will he go strong or not. I don't know. He's got the option.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things about that with Man City, isn't there? One, yeah, you're right. They don't have a huge squad that we're used to seeing, but what they do have in place now is a well-drilled academy where players coming straight out of that know how to play Pep's football through and through. So they don't have those same concerns that a club like we would have. You know, academy players not used to the first team yet. We're even if we're trying to emulate their process, we're at the early days of that at the moment. So, Man City, you don't have to worry. You get like, what was it, Rico Lewis come on, and you just think, well, he looked at Oscar Bob, what a player that was. And you see,
they look like £50 million signings, don't they, Cooper?
Yeah, absolutely.
Through.
Look, Cole Palmer, they could let him go.
Yeah,
look at Jesus. I mean,
I bet they regret that now, though. They don't have Cole Palmer in their team.
So I wouldn't worry if I was Man City about not being able to play Pep's football, because they will. They will just do it. Question is, can we capitalise on those really big names that are missing at the time?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say no. I don't think we will. I think our nice little voodoo thing we had over them is hoodoo, I should say. Perhaps voodoo would work.
Can we capitalise?
Can we capitalise? No, we're not. We're not gonna. I think that little bubble has burst. I really do.
Guys, so look, we're still going to be playing them with some of their top players playing. Listen, they're still going to have Erling Haaland playing. I think we know that. Erling Haaland will play, right? But surely if there's ever time to beat them, it's without Rodri, De Bruyne, Kyle Walker, Jack Grealish, Doku, Bob. Like this is a lot of very good. Basically, all 6 of those walk into our team, right? Basically, all 6 of those walk into our first team. Ben, surely this is the test, right? We keep hearing we've improved. We keep hearing that this football's going to pay off and we play great stuff. This is it. If you can't beat Man City with all those injuries out at home in the cup, it doesn't really say a lot, does it?
No, it doesn't. I didn't know half those players were injured because I don't watch Man City. I haven't got the time to watch Man City. I wish I did. But it's nice to know they got all those injuries. Yeah. This is it now. I've said it on a lot of our text chats. We got to win both these games. We've got no other option but to win both these games. We've got to try and win this trophy. we can't do what we did against Coventry and play Dragishin and Ben Davies at centre back. Because if we play those two at centre back against Man City with the tree in goal, they're putting us to the sword.
The tree in goal.
They're putting us to the sword.
Yeah,
and that is we've got to play our top team, and we've got to try and win. We've got to win at least one of these games this week. Otherwise, I'm just totally done. I'm totally done. We've got to win either Villa at home, or we've got to beat Man City. We've got to beat one of those two teams to show it a little bit of, okay, you know what? I can see where the aim is for this season. The aim is the league to try and finish as high as possible, or the aim is to try and win a trophy to get the duck off our back. Yeah. We've got to win. If we don't win either of those two games, or we don't even get a result against those teams, it's chopping block for me. It's chopping block.
Wow. Okay, look, let's talk about that then. I mean, Kuva, look, if we look, and I'll put this back up again. If we don't beat Aston Villa at the weekend, right? If we don't beat Aston Villa at the weekend, it will mean that Aston Villa have either gone on to 19 points or 21, depending if they get a draw or win against us. And this is worst case scenario. That then leaves Tottenham a minimum, and that's if no one else gets any points. That will leave Tottenham a minimum of 6 to 7 points off of top 4 already. Now, that's being polite because that's assuming that Brighton, Chelsea and Arsenal all don't win their games. Tottenham could be, come the weekend, we could be 9 points off of the top 4 after 10 league games. Now, I know we could say, it's only 10 games, Kuva. But now you're talking about a 3-game swing. Now you're talking about, right, whatever we do in the last 28 games of the season, we need to do 3 games better than Chelsea, than Villa, than Arsenal. Whoever it is. That's huge, isn't it? So if at that stage we are 9 points off of the top 4 after 10 games of football, is it chopping block time, like Ben says, or do we just keep going?
I think he's got time yet, because look what happened when we're searching for a manager the last few years. Remember the fiasco it was when we finally appointed Conte. We'd have to go through manager after manager and then eventually come up with something. It's a struggle to get people to come to us. We get turned down by top managers nowadays. So what are we going to do? We're going to replace him if we have a proper plan in place for somebody coming in after him, which isn't beyond Levy, is it? He's certainly done it before. He did it with Posh, didn't he? Mourinho was in the next day, sort of thing. So if that's in place, anything can happen. We do have Daniel Levy as a chairman. He sacks managers. That's what he does, mate.
He does.
Yeah.
So
that's who he is.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, it's always on the cards, isn't it? But I just think right now we spent all that money. Players are in the club that whether we rate them or not, they are here now. We kind of played our hand. I think he's going to. I think he's going to get the time at least to the new year. But if results are worsening, that accelerates that departure, doesn't it? I think if we lose to Man City, it's not a crisis, is it? It's still Man City. You wouldn't say that's a disgraceful result. Well, not unless they hammer us like 10-0.
What if both? But Kuva, on its own, losing to Man City. Listen, I actually don't think we'll beat Man City tomorrow night. I think we will beat Villa. I think we'll get a reprieve, and I think we will beat Villa. It's only my opinion, right? So I think Villa are better than us as a club. I think they're better equipped and consistently better than us. But in a one-off game at White Hart Lane, I do think we can.
I think if Villa had an away European fixture midweek, I think they'd be there for the taking. They've struggled with Europe the same way we always used to, and it affects your league form. But look who they've got midweek. It's kind of ironic who they have got. They got Crystal Palace at home.
Yeah, Crystal Palace at home on Wednesday. Yeah,
so they can have a nice home game. Plenty of time to relax and refresh afterwards without having to worrying about travelling. It's not a long trip from the Midlands to come down to London, is it? So So they're not going to be hugely affected this time, I don't think. I think that Villa game is going to be a lot harder than people are assuming. Just because we're home.
I don't think it'll be easy, Kuva. I don't. Spurs, for me, every now and then we get a result. And this is the frustrating thing. Every now and then we get a result, and it's the sort of result I'm talking about, guys. It's the sort of result that makes all those silly fans go, "Oh my God, you're in the mud. We're amazing," and then you go and lose to Crystal Palace. For me, I don't think. Look, you beat West Ham after Brighton, and you think to yourself, right now, follow that up with another win against Palace to get some consistency going. No, right now you've got City followed by Villa. For me, if you lose to City and to Villa, right, and you lost to to Palace, and you lost to Brighton, right, with only a West Ham win sandwiched in there, for me, it's untenable.
Alkmaar, you can include Alkmaar as well.
Sure, I mean, I could put Alkmaar in there, but like these,
it still doesn't look any better though, does it?
It doesn't. If you're then going, oh my God, so we've played Brighton, top 10 team lost. You've played Villa, top 10 team lost. You played Man City, top 10 team lost. Palace haven't won a game, lost. If we've got that in the space of 5-6 games, Kuva, at what point does it become untenable? Like, because at the moment, it almost feels like whatever he does, people just go, yeah, but it's okay. It's a process. And I don't know what the process is.
For me, the trait has always been the moment the fans really turn in big numbers against the manager, that's when Levy's likely to pull the plug, because everything he does, he doesn't give a toss about winning things with Spurs. Levy doesn't. It's just about keeping the fans happy enough so he can plod along at that level where he doesn't have to go overboard with investments, and just keep that money rolling in, because he's having a lovely time with it. Off-field projects alone, that's what it's all about. It's sooner have a hotel than a league trophy. So that's where we are. It's a convenience thing. Fire the manager, appease the fans, try for a big name, fail to get them, but getting some exciting young manager that's attacking again. And what's it going to be after Ange? Are we back to an English manager again with a sort of methodology that's a bit more flexible? Are we after an Eddie Howe? Yes, please. I'd love him.
Can we just get a normal manager, Kuva? Like, I'm not saying he's going, but next manager, can we just get a manager that actually has some respect for all aspects of a football pitch, rather than I'm gung-ho, or you know what, I'm going to defend on my own box? Like, I feel like this has been lost with football fans now. And one thing that keeps getting leveled at people like me is, oh my God, you deserve this, Savva, because you didn't like Conte's style. Right. So because I didn't like Conte's defensive style means that I want a manager now that completely disregards defending? Surely it doesn't quite work like that, right? Can't we have some balance?
Well, that's the best teams the best Spurs team I grew up with during the 80s. It had that balance. Keith Birkinshaw's side, we had flair and creativity. We could be devastating against teams, but we also had grit and determination and some sort of organisation. And one of the best captains I've ever seen in Steve Perryman. We had a proper team then. Since then, there's very few times we can say we've had that really nice balance. I think Pochettino was one of them.
I thought Harry was one.
Harry's one. Harry's a little bit more towards the gung-ho side, isn't he? But it's kind of, it was a good watch.
At least he attempted to get like a Wilson Palacios into midfield to kick a few people. Do you know?
Absolutely. Sandro as well.
Yeah.
We brought in Scott Parker as well. Another.
Ooh, Scotty Parker. Loved Scott Parker.
It was the thing we need
right now in our midfield is a Scotty Parker.
I would say Pochettino's side, we had the potential to kick on with the right signings to actually win a league title during that period.
Yes.
Whereas with Redknapp, I felt we had the potential with a few signings here and there. Perhaps would be a cup side more than a league winning side.
Possibly.
It was that kind of style. But
flip side to this, guys. We could lose to Villa and Man City quite easily. But what if we win both? The question for me is, if we can win both, can we then kick on? Because this has always been the problem at Spurs, hasn't it? It's not that every now and then we don't pull a Man City win out of our backsides. It's not that we don't get a good win versus a Villa. It's the 5 to 10 games that precede that. Do you know what I mean? It's those 5 to 10 games where you go, right, we've done really well, let's kick on. They're the games where we tend to go, oh, back to normal. So how do we go about winning both and making sure that it's not an anomaly? And do we think that Ange is going to go strong tomorrow night? I.e., like Ben said, are we going to see Dragosteen and Davis come in, or is he going to put Romero and Van de Ven against Haaland? Like, what do you think?
I could do my answer very quickly to let Ben have a go, but for me, just think of that phrase that we use ourselves as fans, among other fans. Spurs always let you down.
Yeah,
always.
That's it. So it doesn't matter. We could beat Man City and Villa, look very good,
I mean, lose to Italy.
enjoying that, and then instantly lose the next game, and it's back to normal. So there is no long-term consistency. That's
the sort of team we are, isn't it? We are a team that will beat Man City and Aston Villa, but then lose to Ipswich at home and lose to Galatasaray away in the Europa League. We are so, even the form you brought up the table. You look at the form. It's up and down, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win.
Ben, this is us as a football team. This is why, after every good win, when people go, oh, why are you not happier? It's like, it's not that I'm not happy. I've seen it all before. Like, I'll be happy. Beat Man City, go to the next round of the Cup. Beat Villa to keep in touch with the top 4. Then put Ipswich to the sword and Galatasaray to the sword. And you go, okay, right, we've just won 4 games in a row. A really tough game with Villa, a really tough game with City, a tough away trip to Galatasaray. Yeah. All right, which we should be beating.
Then you've got a free hit against Man City. We go to Man City away from home in the Premier League. I just looked it up. That's a free hit. We're not. If we get anything more than a draw or more, if we get a draw, I'm delighted against Man City away from. I'm delighted. Because we're not going to go there. Because that's when they will have a lot of their players back in a month. A lot of their players that you've just said are injured will be back in a month.
Absolutely.
So it's a free hit. We go 4 games unbeaten in adverse conditions. You know what? You're like, okay, we might not do what we want to do, but we've got space to breathe. We're still in the cup. We can go for something. We've got something to play for. We beat those 2, and then we lose to Galatasaray, which I think I'd love to win the Europa League, but it just doesn't say. We lose to Galatasaray away, which we do lose, and we've lost to Palace, and Galatasaray is Palace times 1,000,000. That's not a place you want to go.
Do you know what's funny? And just before we change subject, last week when I was in the hospital and Perchie was trying to cheer me up with lots of crap Tottenham facts. He's good like that, is Perchie. He sent me a list of every Spurs away game in Europe since the Champions League final. And for everyone that keeps making us favourites to win this tournament, I'm looking at all of these European away games, guys. It is abysmal record. Like, there's some wins in there, like I think we beat like Wolfsberger away, Ferencváros away, you know. But the number of away European games I'm looking at going, Jesus, that's a shocking result. Like against teams that aren't that great anyway. But look, all I want to see, to round this off before we go to the last 5-10 minutes of the show, all I want to see is, cool, beat Man City, beat Villa, and then use it to kick on. That proverbial, oh, this will give the players confidence. I need that to stop being a metaphor, and I need it to actually be implemented, right? So that for me is, and you know, tomorrow night if we beat Man City, the number of our fans, Ange is a genius, Ange masterclass. We've beaten Man City loads of times. The measure of being a great team isn't beating Man City in a one-off game. The measure is consistency. But guys, I do want to move it for the last five or so minutes.
Before we get, there's one player that is the absolute. Before, I don't want to make this a debate about him because it's for me it's just obvious. There's one player that sums that up: Christian Romero. He plays brilliantly one game. Everyone's in the mud. Everyone's horrible. You're all negative. You don't know footballer. the moment he plays badly, which he played badly against Crystal Palace, it's everyone else's fault. It's not his fault. It's everyone else's fault. And we'll leave it on there.
No, look, absolutely. Listen, everyone knows my feelings on Romero. I've had so much stick for it over the last 3 years.
Also, about how far what position are we as a club at the moment? I also always look at what the other fans are saying. What you think other teams are thinking about us.
Agreed.
Is there any fear of coming to play at White Hart Lane at the moment? No. Is there any fear that you're going to draw Tottenham in the cup and it's like, oh my God, we're in trouble here?
Yeah.
There isn't.
And
we're there for the taking every week.
Get to that, Kuva. Like we'd started under Poch in that era before it all went wrong. We'd started to get to not everyone's second favourite team because clubs hate us, but a team that people want to watch. And not because we're calamity at the back. Teams like watching us now because they know we're a disaster. Look,
I'm unbeaten at home in a league campaign. Winning 17 of 19 or whatever it was.
Mate,
those days are gone.
Yeah, different times. Look, guys. Last 5 minutes. Still want to talk about. Yesterday was the Ballon d'Or. It's not often we get to talk about something that isn't Tottenham, but yesterday was the Ballon d'Or. Some people care about it, some people don't. I'm sure if you're a footballer, you really do care about it because to be christened the best player in the world, I'm pretty sure it would be a big deal. To be the best in anything in the world is a big deal. I want to ask you about this. First of all, I want to ask about Rodri winning it. Ben, we touched upon this before the show started. Secondly, I want to touch upon. I've got Sky Sports News on in the background now, and they've just put up a quote from Real Madrid, basically bitching and moaning that Vinicius Jr. didn't win it, saying that by all metrics, him or Danny Carvajal should have won it. They boycotted the event because they said that Real Madrid aren't respected, and Real Madrid don't go where Real Madrid aren't respected. That's what they said. That's
then they won Club of the Year,
right? So I'm going to ask. First of all, what do we make of Rodri winning it? Second of all, isn't this, and this is only my opinion, so I'll ask this question quite loaded and biased, if I may. Isn't this the ultimate sign of disrespect to Rodri?
Yeah.
That rather than turn up and say congratulations and that, it is but we didn't win it, so we're not going to go. Like, isn't that the ultimate disrespect? What do we make of this Rodri Vinicius Ballon d'Or situation?
For me, the Ballon d'Or has finally got a bit of kudos back in it. The Ballon d'Or for too long now has just been a strikers sausage fest. It's only been strikers. The last time someone that wasn't a striker won it was Fabio Cannavaro.
And Luka Modric.
Modric as well. Yeah. Last time a defensive player won. That's what I was supposed to say.
Yeah. It was kind of hard.
Last time a defensive player won. The reason this has happened is because Messi and Ronaldo won it for years between them. It was a popularity contest. Who we prefer, Messi or Ronaldo? But they've forgotten why Messi and Ronaldo were able to be Messi and Ronaldo. It's because they had the best unit. Messi, look at Messi's unit. He had Victor Valdez in goal. He had a back four of either Abidal or Jordi Alba with Piqué and Puyol, right back of Dani Alves, midfield of Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets. Like,
not bad.
How none of those three, Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets, won a Ballon d'Or is a crime. That is a crime because those three are the reason Messi was able to be the artist he was. Because Messi, you got the ball. We got this, mate. We control this game of football for you. So for once, the reason the team wins Manchester City a lot of the time is because of Rodri. He is like, for me, the sun in the middle of the solar system. He doesn't even have to touch a ball, but he's running a game of football. Everything revolves around him. He is what every single football team should strive to have in the middle of the park. Yep. He is just an absolute machine, winning goals in Champions League finals when he's needed to become that player. So you know what, I'm taking this and I'm scoring. back of the net, bottom corner, Champions League final, wins a game of football for them. This is finally the Ballon d'Or, finally crowning the best player in the world. I think Vinicius Junior is one of the best players in the world. Is he the best footballer in the world at the moment? No, not for me.
I agree.
You would probably think differently if you're a Real Madrid fan. You might say this player's the best player in the world. This player, but for me, a lot more people think Rodri is the best player in the world rather than someone like a Vinicius. Vinicius Junior will win the Ballon d'Or. He is class. I'd love to have a Vinicius Junior in my team over a Timo Werner. So it goes without saying.
I was going to say, I'd love to have you over Timo Werner. So not a high benchmark, is it?
Is Vinicius Junior the reason Real Madrid win titles?
Yeah.
No. The reason Real Madrid win titles was because of Modric, because of Kroos, because of Bellingham last year, how good Bellingham was. They've got a team unit that works, that allows him to be the artist. Yeah. Rodri is the reason that Man City are so good because of how good he is. He won everything with Spain, won with Man City in the most difficult league in the world, almost won a treble if it weren't for a bit of luck. Man United beat him. They could have won. They've won.
Is it consistent? Is it consistency, Ben? I think the difference between it's very difficult to judge a Vinicius Junior, for example, versus a Rodri. But I think the difference for me is, listen, on Vinicius Junior's day, God, he's a joy to watch. And he's an absolute menace to whichever right back he's playing against. I think the difference is, for me, Rodri always seems to have his day.
Yeah. When Rodri 9 out of 10 every game. Every game Rodri plays is 9 out of 10.
And he's not lost a game of football. I don't know if you guys noticed. Do you know when Rodri last lost a game of football?
1876.
Yes. It was 1876. Yes. How did you know? Do you know when he actually last lost a game of football?
Was that 2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was November 2023. So it was this time last year. So for a calendar year, the man has not lost the game he's played in. Now, we could turn around and say, oh, but look at the team he plays in. But when he doesn't play, City are still good, but they're not Rodri good. Listen,
they're not a well-oiled machine. They're not a well-oiled machine.
I like Mateus Nunes. I like Kovacic. I like Gundogan. These are really good players. But the drop-off in that particular kind of quarterback position from Rodri is huge. And that, for me, that for me is the difference between a player like Rodri that just runs the show and a player who is the standout match winner like a Vinicius Junior. So are you happy that Rodri won it? And then I want to move on to the Real Madrid throwing their toys out the pram.
Something I'll have to pull you up on, though. But the stat about Rodri last losing, it sounds impressive. But we've had a player like that. Ryan Sessegnon.
When did Ryan Sessegnon last play for Tottenham Hotspur? Can anyone remember?
Exactly. That's good record stretches back 5 years, I think.
When did Rodri last lose a game of football? I'm sorry, go on. Sorry.
I'm pleased for Rodri to win it. You don't get enough respect given to goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders when there's the showbiz element of a Messi and a Ronaldo up front. Goals do get bums out of seats. Goals do get shown again and again on TV. It is the highlight of the game, let's face it. So they're always going to get a lot of credit for that. And Messi and Ronaldo have been exceptional. But I think anybody that really follows football closely is going to know there's a lot more to it. And Ben's right. Those players required to have a team around them. Look at Ronaldo at Man United. It's not quite the same when he went back, is it? It's there comes a point where you've got to appreciate what was happening around you. Rodri, for me, is a player that if you're as a manager and you're having a problem with the opposition, thinking about they got these tricky players in midfield, they could overrun us here and there, I'll drop Rodri in. That's just going to shut the opposition down and just get our game playing, nice and simple. Uses the ball so simply and elegantly. That's what I really like about him. He doesn't have to do a Hollywood through ball all the time. He just has to be that exceptional, unshakable player. So week in, week out, that level of consistency you can only dream about. He's the oil in the machine, but he's the machine as well. He's practically the one-man midfielder if ever there was one. The only people I can think of with similar kind of impact. Well, no, I can't think of anybody who's done it.
Davids, when he came to Spurs, was sort of that one-man midfield. He came in and he took everyone up with him.
I'd say he probably didn't have the same level of consistency, though.
Oh, for sure. But that's what I mean. He goes
into the
same
type,
and he makes everyone better around him.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like a Carrick role, isn't it?
Carrick as well. Carrick's another one.
You could say it a little bit for like the likes of someone like Steven Gerrard as well. He did make an average Liverpool team a lot better. So I'm pleased with Rodri winning that. Of course, he deserves it. I mean, look at all the trophies coming in, and he's the consistent performer in that team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then the last thing I want to talk about, as I said, guys, I mean, Real Madrid, I mean, this is the biggest football club in the world. This is the Champions League winners multiple times over. Everyone wants to go and play for them. It's a bit childish, isn't it? To use a lack of a better term, like we're not going to go because Vinicius Jr. won't win it. Like we've all worked for companies, surely, where we've gone to awards dues, and you know who's going to win it. Do you know what I mean? When I was in recruitment many years ago, as a billing recruiter, can we say, I knew if I was going to the annual awards do, I knew that so-and-so at that branch has made more money than me. I'm not going to go, I'm not going. I'm not going because John's winning it again. Well, yeah, John's winning it because he deserves it.
How dare you, John? We hate you, John.
Who is completely made up, John. There was no John.
You suck, John.
But now this notion that Rodri's kind of won it unfairly when he's won the Premier League, he's won the Euros and been the best player for me in both. I mean, let's be brutally honest. He's not lost a game of football for over a year. I don't think he's lost a game of football with Spain for something like 2 years. And the disrespect, guys, surely that is the ultimate slap in the face to Rodri.
It's also disrespectful because Madrid is a team that cares about Spanish football. They're a team with very much roots in Spanish football, and to attack another Spanish footballer who deservedly won the Euros for their country, it's a bit disgraceful. It's a bit disgraceful. The only way, if England won the Euros and Bukayo Saka comes in, I'm just going to go, fair play, mate. You won the Euros for my country. I love it. Fair play. Fair play to you, son.
We're not going. We're Spurs. We're not going because Bukayo Saka won that.
No, fair play. You won the Euros. Cole Palmer, fair play. You won us a country because the country does matter. To disrespect one of your own countrymen, a lot of those Spanish players, and a lot of I don't know who the captain was of the Spanish national team. I can't remember. I think it might have been Carvajal. Might have been the captain of Spain.
God, yeah, it might have been. Yeah, I can't even think
of your own countrymen who won the Euros for your country. It's not on, is it? Because they would not, if they had the chance to sign. If Rodri came out tomorrow and said, "I want to play for Real Madrid," they're rubbing their hands and bring him in, son. It's a disgrace, really.
Kuva, disgrace, or you get it?
Nah, the whining bunch of little babies, aren't they? Stuck-up pricks. I'm just glad that Barcelona stuffed them. It made it even sweeter. That, come on, have a bit of professionalism. Have a bit of respect for other teams, other players. I mean, are they honestly saying Rodri doesn't deserve any credit? Yeah. It's pathetic. It's like
they're making it out like Vinicius finished 10th or something. Like, didn't he finish second?
He finished second, yeah.
It's the kind of bias that you expect from fans, not from clubs themselves.
Yeah. Yes. Do you know what? It's the kind of shit I expect on YouTube. Going, oh my God, this player's great. No, he's not. Oh, you're biased. No, you're not. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Negative.
Negative. Guys, one thing I do know, just before we wrap up, how long until Lamine Yamal of Barcelona gets his hands on a Ballon d'Or? And I don't really I don't normally say these things about 17-year-olds, but Jesus Christ, that boy for the last 2 years has ripped up world football, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And that, for me, is going to be the closest thing I think we're going to see to a Messi, Ronaldo type player. Did you boys manage to see the
I didn't get a chance, mate.
El
I didn't get a chance. But it's something I've known for a long time, and I think a lot of people have known for a long time. Hansi Flick is the business. He is an elite coach. People speak about the manager we have like he's Hansi Flick. Yes, Hansi Flick didn't do well at Germany, maybe because he needs the players every single day to coach. But when he gets a team playing, they are a machine. Rafinha scoring goals. He was at Leeds a couple of years ago, getting relegated for Leeds. And now he's got El Clasico getting hat-tricks. This is one of the greatest managers on the planet. That's one of my biggest worries, that after Pep Guardiola from Man City, they go and get a Hansi Flick, because he would just turn it into even more of a farmers league than it already is. I think Hansi Flick he's the business. That's a proper coach. What a manager he is.
Kuva, did you watch the El Clasico?
Yeah, I mean, I had to go and dig around to find the entire match to watch over again, rather than just highlights, to get a real sense of what happened. Yeah, that's something special.
God, it was
Barcelona. That's something Barcelona have done over the years, though, isn't it? Unearth those absolute gems. It reminds me of watching young Messi as well, when he used to come on as sort of 15, 16, and you think, okay, this lad can really play.
Yeah.
There are levels. He's up there. Yeah, I agree. He's going to be a Ballon d'Or winner, isn't he?
Do you know what's worrying, Kuva? I'll tell you what's more worrying is watching that game. And first of all, Barcelona perfected the high line. I mean, that was the highest line I think I've ever seen. And they perfected it. They nullified Madrid. They rode their luck, but they've done it. Second of all, it was from the 14 players that played. So they had 11 that started, obviously, and then they only made 3 substitutions. 7 of that 14 were from the youth team.
Yeah.
50% of Barcelona's 14. And then on the bench, 6 of the 9 on the bench, or 5 of the 9 on the bench, were also from the youth team. And you look and you think, wow, that's a youth project. That's, do you know what I mean? It's madness. But listen, guys, thank you so much. Today we have covered Tottenham and Man City and Pep Guardiola, and Man United, Ruben Amorim, and Real Madrid and stuff like that. But listen, I do need to go. My front wall's gone. So much love.
All right.
Thank you. And as always, come on, you Spurs.